The plastic gun controversy highlights that Catholic leaders in America have staked out clear and forceful positions regarding weapons, and the national correspondent for the Tablet and Crux, Christopher White, is here to explore them. Christopher, thank you as always for being here. The U.S. Catholic bishops, well, they have long-standing recommendations when it comes to gun violence, but this is new territory. Like, what are the basic principles of the church here?
Well, starting in 1994, the U.S. bishops first issued a pastoral letter on violence in which they took up the question of gun control and gun safety. And in that, they've maintained a number of positions that have been consistent in the past 20 years, saying we need mandatory background checks, a ban on assault rifles, we need laws preventing gun trafficking, and we need to try to limit handguns. Now, this is new terrain, as you mentioned, and so we haven't, of course, heard any bishops weigh in on the question of plastic guns, but you can take these principles and see where they certainly speak to some of the matters at hand.
What's the likelihood that they will weigh in on this particular controversy? Because it's bound to grow.
Well, I think if you think over the past year since Las Vegas and then Parkland, we've seen a number of bishops issuing individual statements, so I think perhaps we may see some of that in the months ahead. There also is this kind of undercurrent within the conference as a whole that they may need to look more seriously at guns generally in the year ahead.
With that said, Christopher, given that the issue of guns has been so much a part of our national conversation, is it even surprising that the bishops haven't touched upon this up till now?
Well, if you think about the number of issues that the bishops have to deal with, this is just one of many issues, unfortunately, that their voice is needed on. And of course, so much of their focus right now is singularly focused on the question of immigration, but of course there's also life issues such as abortion that all kind of take up time and energy. However, as this issue kind of seeps up and Congress addresses that, I think that's when we can expect the bishops to respond.
The Bishop of Brooklyn, Nicholas DiMarzio, do you expect that he will weigh in on this particular controversy or the issue of gun control at all? And he has in the past.
He has, exactly. So in the past, Bishop has been quite clear saying, look, the Second Amendment, rather, is clear that people have the right to bear arms to protect themselves. But he's also echoed the bishop's lines that, hey, we've got to limit handguns. We've got to look at strong background checks. We've got to have these protections in place. And so I think if we hear the bishop address this controversy, he's going to repeat that same sort of line because the same principles apply.
I know you hate it when I do this, Christopher, but I'm going to ask you to put the crystal ball hat on. What do you think is next for this controversy with regard to the church?
With regard to the church, I think we're going to have maybe some bishops addressing this come November at the General Assembly where they all come together again. I know there are a number of bishops that really want to push this envelope forward, but it's a careful balance as in all these issues are. So I don't know that we'll get a new pastoral letter, but I think we may see some broad statements being put out on the issue of gun control and gun violence.
All right, Christopher, as always, good stuff, good perspective, and good insight. I really appreciate that.